What is going on, everybody? And I hope you're having a fantastic Saturday morning so far. This is NYG Jeffy T 85, and I'm here to bring you my Brooklyn Nets game recap last night after the Brooklyn Nets came back and got a big win last night against the Toronto Raptors by the final score of 109 to 105. And the Nets, they were pretty much trailing for a decent amount of this entire basketball game last night. The Nets were at one point were down by 13 points, but to Toronto. Toronto looked like they were getting the game in hands. Pascal Siakam was leading the way for Toronto, and they actually had a very, very good balanced scoring throughout their entire team last night. But the Nets, they showed the grit. They showed the fight back. They showed that comeback ability, and the Nets were able to come back in this game and pull off what could have been what was a very, very important victory for this Brooklyn Nets team over a very, very good young Toronto Raptors team by the final score of 109 to 105. And it was a team effort by the Brooklyn Nets. And they did a couple of things that the Nets needed to do compared to what they did in the game that happened on Wednesday night when they faced off against the New Orleans Pelicans. And the Nets did a better job rebounding. The Nets did a better job on defense. Not great. Still need to work on some things. But in terms of their defense overall, it was much better than what they did in the first game. And the Nets are starting to become a team that love to block shots. The Nets have had 2 games in a row where they've had over 11 block shots in the game. And that, of course, is led by their young starting center, Nicholas Claxton. And I'm going to say this first. Teams better start looking out for a guy like Nicholas Claxton because this guy is really starting to establish himself as one of the better young centers in the NBA. Yes, it's only 2 games. Yes, we can't go crazy about it yet. But Claxton is starting to establish himself as one of the better young two-way centers in the NBA. Claxton, again, had a very strong game last night. 19 points, 11 rebounds. He had a +9 plus-minus average in 34 minutes, 8 for 11 from the field. But of course, the most important thing is that he's starting to go into transition as well. He was even taking the ball from when he rebounded it, taking the ball all the way down the court himself without passing the basketball, and was even making transition buckets on his own. Your 6'11" center is starting to do that. That just shows the amazing athleticism and the growth in his offensive game with Nicholas Claxton. Claxton was great last night. Another double-double for Claxton. 4 block shots in the game. Claxton is becoming a very, very big-time rim protector for the Brooklyn Nets. Teams that try to drive to the basket and also try to shoot shots, they know Nicholas Claxton is going to be there in the center of the basketball court, and he's going to shot block away any of those close shots near the rim. He's going to protect his team's basket. He even had a steal in the game, too. And also, one of the most impressive things is he had 7 offensive rebounds. So this guy's not just getting the job done on the glass, he's getting it done on the offensive side of the glass. That means he's giving his team second chance opportunities to be able to go out there and be able to help his team out in terms of being able to give his team opportunities at second chance points. And that's one of the most important things that you need to look for in a game is second chance opportunities. And the Nets actually did a much better job rebounding today than they did in that first game as they out-rebounded the Toronto Raptors 44-41 in this game. The Nets really just did a better job overall on the defensive side of the game, on the offensive side of the game. Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving did what they needed to do on the offensive side of the game. Irving had a much better game overall. Much better game. He had a +22 on the game. He played the most minutes in the game for the Brooklyn Nets. He was 11 for 24 from the field. Much better percentage than what he did against New Orleans. Was 5 for 13 for the three-point line. He also had 7 assists in the game, and he topped the team with 30 points. He didn't even turn the ball over that much. Kevin Durant, his turnovers were a little bit high on the game, but Durant also paced the Nets in scoring with 27 points. He had 6 assists on the game, as well as he had 5 rebounds. but he had the 5 turnovers. That's the one thing you're concerned with, but he had 2 block shots. So Durant was very efficient in other aspects of the game. Royce O'Neal arguably had the best shot of the game. He had the most clutch shot of the entire game when he hit that big 3-point shot when the Nets were only leading this game 106-105, and with about 14 seconds left in the game, O'Neal hit the biggest clutch shot of this game that put the Nets up by 4 and pretty much put this game out of reach. That's the clutch shot that the Nets have needed, courtesy of their big 3-and-D player, Royce O'Neal, who finished the game with 7 points, 2 block shots, 2 steals, 4 rebounds, and 3 assists in 39 minutes. Joe Harris finally had his first game action. He had 3 points on the game in 18 minutes. You're not expecting Harris to play a lot because he's just coming off surgery, so he's not going to go out there and he's going to play a lot of minutes. So Harris was just was pretty much getting his feet wet in this game. Markieff Morris finally played a lot more minutes than he should have. He had 1 block on the game, 3 points, 19 minutes played, 4 rebounds overall. That's what you need somebody like Markieff Morris to do, is provide some more, size for this team. I will say Toronto had a pretty balanced scoring effort for their team. I mean, Gary Trent Jr. had 14 points. Fred VanVleet, he had 18 points in the game. Gary Anunoby, he had 10 points. Scotty Barnes, 17 points on the game. And Pascal Siakam had a big game for Toronto. Pascal Siakam was the biggest reason why this game was even closer. Siakam had a triple-double on the game last night with 37 points, 12 rebounds, and 11 assists. So Siakam did his job to try to keep that team in that game against the Brooklyn Nets. But the Nets, overall, they played more of a team aspect game. Now, everything wasn't perfect. They're still giving up over 100 points per game. You want to try to lower that average and become more of a defensive mind team. But at the same time, it's much better than they did against the New Orleans Hornets when they gave up 130 points. So we'll take something like this. It's a lot better, efficient of a game, and the team was doing a better job passing the basketball. 26 assists on the game. It was one better than what they had. It was much better than what they had in terms of what they had in the game against New Orleans, where they only had about 18 assists in that game. So 25 assists, getting your teammates the ball. Even Ben Simmons, while the numbers aren't going to pop off the scoreboard, he had a very efficient game. 6 points on the game, 2 block shots. He only had 3 turnovers. He had 10 rebounds, and he had 8 assists and 2 personal fouls. Ben Simmons was more disciplined on the basketball court than he was in the game against New Orleans in 32 minutes. He was 3 for 5 from the field. He played a little bit more aggressive. Ben Simmons doesn't need to go out there and score points, but at the same time, 2 block shots. He did a good job out there on defense against Scotty Barnes. Didn't have him go completely off in the game. He was able to at least get 10 rebounds and 8 assists. So Ben Simmons had a way more efficient basketball game overall. And Patty Mills continues to be the top guy off the bench in terms of scoring the basketball. 10 points off the bench in 11 minutes. That's what you need from Patty Mills, a secondary efficient scorer. But the Nets overall, I thought, played a better game. It wasn't crisp. Still some things that this team needs to work on, including the defensive side of the game, and the rotation still needs to be established on who's going to be playing night in and night out. I'm not very happy that Cam Thomas did not play, but I guess just because of the fact they're dictating the lineup from game to game, that's probably why Thomas didn't play. But I'd like to see the second-year player get at least more opportunities on the basketball court. But overall, it was a very, very good Nets win, a game that the Nets needed to win. They could not start the season off 0-2, at home especially, and that's the only reason why I said this game was important, and it was a big game, because you cannot start a season 0-2 on your own basketball court. So I'm very happy and pleased with the Nets. Durant and Irving led the way. Irving with 30, Durant with 27. Royce O'Neal had a clutch big shot, arguably the biggest shot of the game, with 14.3 seconds left to give the Nets that 4-point lead to help win this game. Ben Simmons played a more efficient game. Nicholas Claxton continues to be one of the biggest surprises so far in the young NBA season, with his play having a double-double, including being a good, strong two-way player right now for the Brooklyn Nets. And this is just a very, very big Brooklyn Nets win right now, as the Nets now can enjoy a nice relaxing weekend over this weekend before they have a big game on Monday night when they play off against the Memphis Grizzlies on this Monday going forward in Memphis, which is going to be another tough game going forward. So, that's just my Brooklyn Nets recap I wanted to give you guys as the Nets in their second game of the season at home pull off a very, very strong win over the Toronto Raptors by the score of 109 to 105. Better efficient effort, better overall game by the Brooklyn Nets. Hopefully they keep that momentum going on Monday against a very, very difficult Memphis Grizzlies team with one of the best young players in the NBA in Ja Morant. So I thank you very much, everybody. If you like this video, please hit the like button below. Sub up if you haven't already to NYGJeffreyT85 for more breaking news, updates, chatter, and game recaps surrounding the Brooklyn Nets. Turn on the bell for notifications on the next video or short that's going to be dropping on the channel surrounding the Brooklyn Nets. And let me know in the comment section what you think about this game last night with the Brooklyn Nets against the Toronto Raptors, what you liked about the game, what you didn't like about what the Nets did last night, and what's your mindset about the Brooklyn Nets so far this season, the first 2 games of the season, and how you guys are going to be feeling as we go up against a very, very tough and young and hungry Memphis Grizzlies team in Memphis on Monday night. So I thank you very much, everybody. Have a fantastic rest of your Saturday. Take it easy, and let's go, Brooklyn Nets. As always, it's a Nets world, and we all just live in it.